Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Mariner of Spirit. I'm Greg, I'm your host. We got a great guest tonight, but before we get to our guest, I want to mention the things that I normally mention on Friday nights. And number one, it's the people that I support, and I support Photographs, which is an organization that was created by Tim Miley, who's a great investigator. And he lost his pooch, and he ended up going ahead and he was so depressed, he had a picture of himself and his pooch and decided he was going to take it, and he had a bunch of copies made and went to a Paracon and he actually went ahead and sold them, and that was the basis of how he started with Photographs. And if you get an opportunity to see him and see one of his events, they're outstanding. The people that he has speak at his events are top notch, and they're great people. And it's a 1 day event, and it's really great. So look up Tim and Photographs and get an idea of what's going on, and it's well worth it. Number two, it's PKC, Paranormal Kicks Cancer, and that's an organization that's done by Chris Goskowski and Alex Wilkinson, and they're out of Florida. And they do events where they go around pretty much, I don't know about all the way across the country, but they do haunted events. They'll do a weekend here, a weekend there, and and all the proceeds that they have will go to cancer research. And all the events that I forgot to say from Photographs all go to shelters and animals of that nature. And then third is, another very, very big one, is the Jessica Petrie Foundation. And that's a resource for expecting mothers, families of pregnant women with mental disorders. And Howard Petrie is the father of Jessica and he started the foundation because to bring awareness to the situation that was happening with a lot of these ladies with these pregnancies. And it turned out to be a very, very good thing. And Howard's a great man, and he's Pond Paranormal Parallax, and he's the co-owner of that along with Christy Morales. And he's a great man. I've finally got an opportunity to do some talking with him the last couple of years, and it's been amazing. He's a great guy. He's from down in New Orleans area, and he's an awesome Cajun. I don't think I'd call him Cajun, but anyway. And then the authors, the people that, if you get an opportunity, you want to go ahead and get a good book. The books that I recommend right now are, and I'll just give the authors' names. Some of them have more than one book. You've got Heatherly Langdon. You've got Bruce Holliday. You've got Lynn Monet. You've got Ron Iacovetti. You have Dr. Rebecca Foster. You have Rex Nielsen, who he has 3 books out now, I want to say. And this last one that he had done is like an adult coloring book. He does amazing artwork, and you get an opportunity to see one of his books. The first ones were all different figures and skulls and things like that. But this last one is a actual adult coloring book. And I said to him, I says, does that mean that it has, nude people in it and stuff like that? And he says, no. He says, that's one of the ones that you have to be an adult because it's so fine to go ahead and color these in, and they're like they look awesome when they're finished. And then we have Todd Bates, who's another broadcaster who has done some great things. He's done some great things for the community, and that's about it. So, without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and bring on my guest. Or what am I thinking of right now? All of a sudden. Anyway, how could I do this? We have a great guy, and here he is right now, and this is Mr. Bill Hauser. And Mr. Bill Hauser, glad to see you, Bill. Good, good.
That's good. I just want to say hello to your wonderful audience.
Well, they're piling in a little late right now. Usually they're a lot of them are here by now, but this must be one of those quiet Friday nights. But it's really great to have you here, and it's been a while since we've been together before. The last time we were together, and I know that last time we concentrated a lot on the paranormal community, basically on spirits, etc., and things that you had captured. And I know that you've been putting a lot of time and energy, unbeknownst to me, into the things that happen from up above. And I think it's really amazing. It's sort of, as soon as I found that out, it was I got all fired up, because I've been that way, just like spirit, ever since I've been a little kid. So it's one of those things that takes me to a different level, and it makes me really want to go ahead and eat everything up I can find. And I know that you've been working on it for how many years now?
Well, I've had UFO sightings through my years. Let's see, from back when I was a young adult, I saw them a few times here and there. I didn't see them an awful lot, but I did see them. These unusual lights in the sky that couldn't be explained. We know them as UFOs. I mean, now they call them UAPs. So I still like UFOs. I like that term. To be honest with you, I met this wonderful lady. She lives on Vancouver Island, and she's basically got the nickname the UFO lady. And so basically, she's a contactee. She has experiences quite often with aliens, shall we say, and so on. So anyway, I went over there and I did some sessions for her with the ghost box, and they were pretty interesting and wild. And she also had a lot of other spirits around there, so I had to kind of help her a little bit. I don't normally chase spirits off and do all that kind of stuff, but I had to do that. So to help her out a little bit. And so we did some clearings together, and I just reinsured her to take, the stance of reaffirming that you don't want unwanted spirits around. So that managed to work quite well for her, and so on. And then she would also tell me about the lights in the sky and how sometimes they would actually, she would get a kind of like an internal message that they're around. And then she says, "Oh, let's go outside." And sure enough, we'd see the lights moving around in the sky. And sometimes we were able to do some CE5 together. And that worked quite well. And I was new to that. I'd heard about it, but she taught me a little bit about how to do that. And so that worked quite well. I've done that a little bit on my own as well. And the sightings we've seen and that, we're able to take pictures, still photos, and some video. And we'd get them so they would power up. So you'd see them up there, and then basically they would just flash like that. So
I don't know.
To be honest with you, they're very fascinating, and I don't know what to say. I mean, my mind is still twisted around a little bit about the sightings and all that, but obviously, I saw what she saw, and so I was able to at least say, hey, people, because she gets a lot of critics out there, and I said, hey, I saw the same stuff that she did. So
it's no different. As far as the paranormal community, it's part of the paranormal community to me, and it's things that we're not aware of. The CE5 end of it, uh, about 2 years ago, I went ahead and I picked up one of Dr. Stephen Greer's books.
okay. Hmm.
Brandon, you want to come on? We can bring Brandon. You want to come on? This
Hello,
is Bill
Brandon.
Hauser. That's
Nice
Hello,
to meet
Brandon.
Bill.
you. Nice to
I
meet
don't
you.
know. I don't know why you said brotato chip.
My name is Brotato Chip Brandon. Today,
Bill's
pork chop the other day.
Bill's from Vancouver.
I'm sorry.
Canada.
I'm
I'm
sorry. The only time I would say I'm sorry is when the Hawks would beat them, the Canucks. But we know that's not the case the last couple of years.
Go Red Wings. Go Red Wings.
No, Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's on the other side, right? Were you able to get those things up?
Yeah, if you just look over, click on where it says brands, and all of your pictures are in overlay, where it says overlay.
Okay, so I could go to brand.
Yep.
Okay,
And
I'll
then
do
you
that.
just click the picture like that.
Okay, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I'm going to go in the background now.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Bill.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
So the CE5 end of it and Dr. Stephen Greer, I became a big fan of his quite a few years ago, and I know he's very controversial. But I really sort of fell for him because of all the different organizations he was with before he went on his own. And he was basically doing the same thing that your lady was doing.
Yes.
As far as the contact end of it was concerned. And he would do it out in the desert, and he'd have like 30 people with him. Mm-hmm. So it was, you two were the group conscious.
Yeah. He basically resurrected, shall I say, what was being done by the hippies during the 60s with, the different UFO, I should say hippie camps back in the day. And UFO sightings were seen around these, basically these camps of hippies. And of course, a lot of drug use, of course. Maybe that helped a little bit in their consciousness to tune in. I don't know. But anyway, they were seeing stuff back then. So he kind of took the same concept and put it into a more modern form. And this is where, the CE5 came from. It's being coined. But really, CE5 is nothing new. It's been around for quite a while, shall we say. It's just been called different things from the past.
Well, I saw the book. Okay, he has that handbook like.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of pages. It just gives you what you can do to go ahead and do a
kind of takes you through like an exercise on how to go about doing it.
Right.
And so on. So see, I've never read his book or not. I've seen one or two of his videos in the past, documentaries and stuff that were interesting to see. But to be honest with you, I never read any of his books on how to do it. I just sort of was self-taught from someone else. And it just sort of presented itself to me, and I took the advantage to try it out. And, I was a little skeptical at first, but might as well try it and see what happens.
So do you split your time in a year 50-50, or now are you primarily into the UFO end of it?
Well, I'm not really a big UFO, shall we say, investigator or anything like that. I just do this with her usually if I go over there. But I have done a little bit of CE5 myself personally, and then sometimes with maybe a few friends. It seems to work well when you have a few people with you. And with April, the lady there, the UFO lady, she gets a lot of the messages internally when they're going to show up and
Okay.
basically go outside and look up in the sky. And she lives up in the Comox Valley area. That's a fairly big area, but there's mountains there, the Vancouver Island mountain range and that. So yeah, they come down quite low sometimes. And basically last year when I was there in September, I was able to get some really interesting stuff. Just short, they were short, but still photos, and then actual little video clip where I asked them to power up, and they did that. And so that was really interesting. It was actually the first time actually getting it on video, so that was cool. Because a lot of this time, when these things happen, it happens fairly fast, and so yeah, it's hard to react to them. But in this case, it presented itself in such a way that it wanted me to film it, so that was cool.
That's awesome. You
Yeah.
want me to go ahead and bring one up?
Yeah, well, there's quite a few still photos, so yeah, just bring
Where are
whatever
we?
you want up, and then we'll talk about
Okay,
that.
we'll start from the beginning.
Yeah.
This
Okay, that's a software I use to analyze a photo. That was the photo itself was actually taken down at the Vancouver International Airport, as we know it as YVR. And it was out in the Salish Sea now, they call it. Used to be Georgia Strait, and it was probably maybe under 20,000 feet. I thought at first it was the landing lights or whatever coming in. It was a daytime sighting. And I took a photo of it just, to see what I could look at it and analyze later. And I was actually quite impressed. And so what you're seeing is a photo that's basically that's an impression that's left from the photo, so you can see structure and so on.
So that's almost depth. That's
Yeah.
depth too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no wings or anything that would give an indication of a plane or anything.
So how high up was this one, would you
Well,
say?
I would reckon it was just probably a little below 20,000 feet, and it was over the water. And of course, it could be visibly seen. And like I say, I thought at first it was a light, like a landing light of a plane, because I'm down at the airport, but that wasn't the case. And so I was able to take a photo and see this. And yeah, it was quite amazing after when I got home later and analyzed it. And I realized, yeah, this is definitely not a plane.
Okay, let's go to this one.
Okay, that's actually the first photo I took.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's basically what it looked like. So it's this kind of a ball of light in the sky, and it doesn't have any, the normal plane navigation lights like the red and the green and the white lights used for navigation and that. So, and you don't see any wing structure. So
Right.
basically, I've ruled it out as a plane.
That's awesome.
Okay, this is a photo taken up in around April's area. It was a still photo, and that just shows basically, like an orb-like shape in the sky at nighttime.
That's unbelievable. I like the way the color come through.
Yeah, it's I got a little color to it, and you can actually see a little bit of specks around it and that. So I would assume that's probably the plasma energy field around it. That's just, that's how the camera interprets it.
Okay.
Again, that was taken up during the daytime around April's area when we're outside from a little distance, but it was close. We could realize that it was definitely not a plane because she doesn't live too far from what do you call the Air Force Base that's up there. That's also slash a civilian airport in one half of it. So yeah, it's unique in itself. It looked like it was in transit or whatever, but we were able to catch a picture of it.
Wow. That's really something.
That was again a nighttime photo, something a little bit different. Again, it's not completely orb-like shape from a distance. It definitely, as far as I'm concerned, it's something that can't be explained. I leave it at that, basically.
The only comment that I was going to make was it's almost cylindrical in shape to me, which you see a lot of lights. Paranormal, you'll see lights that come down, that come out of the ground, and they're different colors, and they're all cylindrical in shape. And I thought, wow, this is really something. Like, this is how it starts. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Something like that. So
yeah.
that's why I was really sort of impressed with that one.
Yeah. It's,
Here's
well, that's again another photo of being analyzed. Again, you see structure with it. To me, I mean, what I'm looking for, of course, is anything that looks like a plane up in the sky, and I don't see that with this being analyzed in that. And again, you always see sort of that dark just below it there, that little band of dark there that shows up. So I think that's all part of its propulsion system, like almost like dark matter. But again, I'm not an expert in that area, but I do see that a lot in the photos.
wow. I'm like in awe on these.
Now, this
And
one I didn't take, or did April, but this is a friend of mine from Sudbury, Ontario. He actually has gotten himself a bit of media attention from the sightings he sees. He's a contactee as well, and an experiencer. And he always said, if you want it, you can use this photo to at least, demonstrate to people that, what we're seeing and so on. So it's like a ball of orange, almost like a fireball, but not quite. So it was in transit that he told me, and that. So
now, how come in some pictures you just see it go? You know what I mean? It's actually flying along, and there's no glow or anything. All this tail that's behind it here is merely because of the object itself, correct?
yeah, that would be the interpretation of what the electronics of the camera would catch. So yeah, it's basically like a contrail almost of light being emitted. So.
That's
And of
beautiful.
course, this one was in transit, so the background is a bit not totally blurry, but you can still see the main subject. Folks, it's the intense ball of energy, shall we say?
Wow.
And that's the same photo for him, and he thought this was really cool how I did that, and you still see that contrail behind the UFO.
That's
But
awesome.
if you look at the main picture of that too, it's really interesting. If you were to enlarge it, you would actually see an inner structure that you don't see in the original photo, of course. But when you analyze it, you see it.
Well, we're down there, so let's see if I can. No, I can't. I was looking for the video.
Oh yeah, the one that's back in September.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the one down at the airport.
I hope I downloaded it or gave it. I thought I did. I went through these. Brandon, is Brandon there? Brandon? Do you know where the other one is? Let me go ahead and just bring this back and see if I could go ahead and go back into Messenger for a minute. I thought I had it down here. I thought I had the arrow there, and then it turned out to be that was that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's there or not, but the video was no. Bing, bing, bing. Do you think there's anything, do you think that aliens and spirit are all one and the same?
That's a good question. I think earthbound spirits are basically from this earth, of course, and then you do get other entities. Again, alien entities, yeah, they're off-world. To be honest with you, I've not ever met one personally. April has, and a lot of times, sometimes they have malicious intent, and other times it's more, they're curious about us and how we are functioning in this world and how we deal with everyday things and that. Because they don't really have the same kind of consciousness as what we do and so on, or the emotions that we have and that. So that's one thing I've been told. So they find what we do is a lot more interesting. So they want to, basically deduct us, pardon me, and analyze us and so on. But, basically not to be too invasive and then bring us back to our everyday world. So.
Do you feel that there's a whole bunch of, I hate to bother you, Brandon. I'm going to bring you up again.
So
Was there a video in there?
I'm gonna have to do that a different way. Hang on, I'll show the video.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't make a mistake and not have it up on there because it's pretty cool.
Hang on, I'm gonna pull it up.
This is watching Brandon work.
I know, right? All right.
There we go.
All right, and then we, bam, add that to the screen, and everybody sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Okay, yeah, I recognize this video. This is actually April's video that she's allowed me to share tonight. And you see a craft in the background.
It's windy and rainy outside. And I'm seeing these strange lights over my neighbor's house. I really couldn't tell you what they are. Christmas lights?
So she talks to him, huh?
Yeah, well, she's just kind of talking about it, and then you see a lot of weird in the one subject matter. You see, pulsating.
It's right over their house, though.
That's absolutely awesome.
The orb below it, I believe, is a star in the distance or something of that nature. And so it's just what we're looking at is above it. So it's pulsating as we see now.
But it seems to be moving in the same direction that the UFO.
Yeah, it's probably moving very slightly, but yeah. I mean, she was contacted by it, so basically to get outside and film it. So that's what.
Now, was this the one that she was taking? Was this the one that was taken over the water? Because you sent.
Trying to keep a steady hand, but
I didn't download it.
Yeah.
From about maybe
over there. Don't come over my house. Whatever you are. What are you? Christmas lights? That's higher than their house. I don't know.
For those people that didn't see it, we're going to play it again.
I wonder what that is. It's windy and rainy outside. And I'm seeing these strange lights over my neighbor's house. I really couldn't tell you what they are. Christmas lights? I
Wow.
don't think it's a fire. I really couldn't tell you what that is. It's right over their house, though. Very strange. I wonder what it is.
That is really cool. Doesn't it also gives you the impression it's almost two different
I
crafts?
see the steady hand, but it's hard. Well, if you're a UFO, you stay over there. Don't come over my house. Whatever you are. What are you? Christmas lights? That's higher than their house.
Wow.
I don't know.
I know the other one was the one that you had gone ahead and like you were talking to it and it was pulsating, and I don't know where I put that one.
Yeah, that's basically the power up. Basically, when I asked it to do it, and then of course I got a still photo from it, and also analyzed it as well. So yeah, I had a really good opportunity back in September there. And I think I phoned you the next day in the morning.
Right.
And
And we will, the next time we get together, we'll go through that one. And I apologize for that because I know that is a very, very good one, I think. But,
yeah, it
Yeah.
shows that basically on command, basically it's powering up, basically, or pulsating or whatever. Because basically, when you looked at it, it wasn't really pulsating before that, and then it was just for a very short period of time, and then basically I was able to quickly film it with my smartphone. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, because normally I don't really get that chance like what she does to get those kind of things, but this time around it allowed me, and so I thought that was really nice that I was able to at least get something like that I could share with people.
Did they take your name and your address down and everything?
No, not really, but they just, in my area, every once in a while, if I'm outside, I'll see something that's, of the unusual, and then a lot of times they'll take off pretty fast when they know I'm going to be filming it. So, but once in a while, I do get that opportunity to get a photo or a still photo or a video sometimes.
What do you think about all the activity that's out east of you by like Mount Rainier?
Well, yeah, Mount Baker, Mount Rainier, and all through there, and then you have the Cascade Ranges. Yeah, a lot of UFO activity out that way, and especially in Washington State. But we too here in BC, British Columbia, we get a lot on the coast here, UFO sightings from different people, from different walks of life of people. So
Do you think that the ones that are off the coast over there are there because of all the naval activity that comes out of Puget Sound?
that's a possibility. I know that back east there, where the power, like nuclear power plants and that, people have seen UFOs quite often, and on a fairly regular basis. Out here, we don't have that. Of course, we have all hydroelectric, but we do have power lines, and sometimes people have claimed to see them close to the power line grids and stuff like that.
Do you have a bunch of groups that are basically,
Yeah, there's a few CE5 groups in British Columbia and on Vancouver Island as well.
are they pretty close together, or are they?
I would say they're pretty close knit of people, but the members every once in a while have had some communication with some of the people on Vancouver Island, and so yeah, they could testify to saying, yeah, we've seen similar photos as what you have, Bill, and yeah, we see them in our sessions as well.
My first impression when you said Vancouver Island, I figured that there was this giant sandbar off the coast,
Oh,
and everybody would go out there and put your lawn chairs out there, and just sit there and look up and catch things when they were up above you. But that's not the case. That's an actual community out there, isn't it?
yeah, well, Vancouver Island's a pretty big island. It's a long, narrow island, but it has a lot of mountain ranges. Well, the main ones that go from the south up to the north. Yeah, if you were to fly over during the daytime, you'd see a lot of mountainous terrain, lakes and forests and so on. So yeah, it's very lush in vegetation as well, and a lot of animals there as well. And a lot of strange stuff happens over on Vancouver Island and around the coast areas of Vancouver Island through the years. People have reported.
I know that I'm not as familiar with that as I am the stuff around the Seattle area.
Yeah,
But
I mean, what happens down there,
it's the
is very
same thing.
similar to what we're getting as well. And of course, you got Alaska just a little further north from British Columbia there, and people up that way too have reported like Prince Rupert area UFO sightings and so on.
I know. I've got a friend that's up there now, and he's been up there for about 4 years, and he says that the sky sometimes he can't believe what he sees, and he says they're not jets, and that kind of thing. And I said, well, I would love for you to go ahead and send some pictures.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very glad that you shared those pictures, because it's really outstanding. We're as long as we went ahead and we did the pictures, we've got probably maybe about 20-25 minutes. Do you want to do a spirit box session?
Sure. Yeah, I have one here.
Okay.
Let me just turn it on. Hello. Who would like to talk to me? How many active spirits around where I am right now? 8? Okay. Do you know their names?
Yeah.
Could I get a name of somebody?
Dino.
Dino. Nice to meet you. Aiden. Very nice to meet you. Do you have a message for me?
Shit.
Who else is there? You have something you want to tell me? So are we happy tonight? Who's happy? I know you guys are talking amongst yourselves. You want to talk to me? A little? Okay.
Ask him who I am.
You know who I'm talking to right now? April? No, I'm not talking to April. I'm on a little radio show on the internet. I'll give you a hint. He's from the United States. He's from Wisconsin. You know his name? Who I'm talking with? You need help. Go to the white light there. Someone will be there, a friend or family.
How are you guys?
Greg's calling you. How are you guys? Good?
Hello. Good to talk to you. I think everybody's happy tonight. Right?
Yeah, so there you go. It's a nice
That's
little
awesome.
box I'm using.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a box from, did you say Ireland?
Yeah, the builder, he lives in Ireland there. He's fairly well known, Happy Droid, and I've been buying some ghost boxes through him last few years. And yeah, he's pretty interesting in the way he's going about doing stuff there. He's managed to, with the sweep scans and everything, he been using on his little sweeps stuff a certain type of computer chip that helps to reduce the background noise of the radio and that. So actually I'm on a random, so it's a random scanning right now when I was using that. So
it's a good sounding box.
Yeah, it's really good. It's good for talk radio and so on. And if I'm going out, I've used it on ghost tours and that, and it works very well. And it's rechargeable, so you don't have to use alkaline batteries, drop-ins. So that's something that's kind of been trending, is basically recharging batteries built into the device. So
oh, that's neat.
Yeah, he basically took a retro radio and turned it into a ghost box, and then used his he put in that little sweep circuit basically for the scanning purposes and so on, and then just basically he did the random and then forward scan in analog and then reverse and that. So
I know I've gone in a different direction as far as boxes are concerned, because I use a lot of what Katie Stafford does, and Austin's always over by Katie, and so a lot of his boxes, and I'm part of their family now, and so I have a lot of Nanocoms, and I have the Inkbox S, and I have a Robo box. That's a big one that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I got Katie Stafford. He built me a little box, and also got one from Maynard a couple years ago with a whole different way of scanning. I think I'm probably the only one in Canada that has that can scan that way so far, or did at that time, and it works. Interesting. I find, pardon me, I have to plug it into an external speaker, and then you start actually hearing a lot of the voices in that. So a speaker that has a lot of bass, so it brings out the voices more.
This one here was a Nanicom S,
Oh yeah,
and there were two of these that were built by Katie.
yeah,
And I have one, and Chris Carr, who's
Mhm.
over on the East Coast, has the other one.
yeah,
And this is, you can go ahead and you can actually go ahead and select as far as your sweep is concerned. One
Yeah.
of them is the straight sweep, and the
Yeah.
other one is just like an intermittent
Yeah.
type. And I've had so much fun with that one.
yeah.
And
Well,
that-
a guy like Katie Stafford, he really is technically savvy, and so he's actually built some really interesting ghost boxes. These boxes, they perform well in sessions and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's done a really good job out there. I'll put him as one of the progressive ghost box builders out there. There's a few of them in the United States, so he would be one of them.
Yeah, I know the people that you mentioned before that not Austin's one of them too, but I
Yeah,
mean
Jay Prather.
Jay Prather.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's been really, he's sort of over there right now to
Yeah.
me.
Well, all these guys come with different thoughts and how they want to, put a ghost box together and what it wants, what basically the function of it and how it will work and the type of scan and so on. And, if you take it and put it into a portal to, it just ultimately changes the sound wave with that radio. And yeah, that's one thing I found is, interchanging speakers. Sometimes it really enhances the radio itself for spirit communications.
So you have a portal too?
Well, I have this man, I forget his name now, but he only made, I don't know, he didn't make that many of them, but it's actually in an old cigar box and he took the circuitry. So what I've used is that particular because it looks pretty cool, and that's what I use for radio shows that I'm doing lately with Derek White Sky Cloud. And yeah, it's clear with the Colas Box 89 that I'm using it with. So that was Mark Codless from the UK that built that radio, and it seems the two work really well together, and it's clear when I always say when they pop out the responses and that. So yeah, it works really well, and I'm being pretty happy with it. And the people listening to the radio show say, yeah, it's really clear, and yeah, we know, when it comes through, it's very accurate, and its responses and so on. So I'm happy that way. So
I know that our next get together isn't going to be that far out. And one of the things that I really like to talk to you about is a lot of the different box makers
yeah,
and their locations. And when people watch the shows, they're always interested in who's available out there, who makes good boxes,
hmm
and what kind of quality are they, and like you just mentioned now, what the box can do.
yeah.
Which there's not a lot of that said.
Well, there's a lot of ghost boxes that have been built, custom built, if you want to call them that, or petite type boxes. That's another term people use in the ITC. To be honest with you, it's when you actually take them and test them out and see, if they have an audio jack, you plug it into one of your speakers and see how it works. It's a bit of experimenting at first, and then you find out what sounds really good and people can understand. Because the biggest complaint I get about the ghost box is we find it hard to listen to with all that staticky, screechy sounds of the radio noise. So And then that's why I like to use external speakers when I can on certain radios. So
Well, if you can control the crowd, or if you're by yourself,
yeah,
that is right on the money.
yeah,
And the reason why I started to do Estes was what had happened to me at Gettysburg. And I think I had mentioned to you before how that had gone down, but I was down at a certain section
hmm
and I was in the triangular field and I was halfway down and I was a good probably 150 yards away from the people that were on top. And it was nighttime. And there were 8 people that were doing a spirit box session up there.
hmm
And I was just down there all by myself, communicating and connecting. And I was experiencing something I've never experienced before at the time with these soldiers that actually were coming out of the woods, because I was right off the edge of the woods and I could
Yeah.
feel them. I could
Mhm.
feel them. I
Yeah,
knew they
that's
were
another
coming.
thing. I do feel stuff when I communicate with the ghost box, and I think that's a lot of it to do with, to a certain degree, I have some mediumship skills. In other words, well, if you want to say psychically in tune, I believe using a ghost box is actually a form of a mediumship
Right.
tool,
Right.
and it's like putting those spirits on speakerphone so everybody can hear them. And so that's the cool thing, especially it works well with talk radio.
Well, I started using these because they were up there and they were arguing what it was saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know how sound carries.
hmm
And it was like I was listening to everything that they were saying and I wasn't listening to everything that was going on with me.
Yeah.
And it was like that's when I gave up on
hmm
an actual let's do a ghost box session, because
Yeah.
you couldn't control the people that were there.
Well, yeah, you're with basically a group. So,
Yeah, you got to
yeah.
lay down the groundworks and
Yeah.
and say, hey, look,
Yeah.
and that's the part that discipline
Yeah.
comes through on this community, and everybody should know ahead of time exactly what they can and cannot do. But
Yeah.
there's some people that want to go ahead and correct other people, and
Mhm.
it gets carried away, and that's when people get soured on the community.
Well, one thing I suggest to anybody doing a ghost box session, always record your session either by a recorder, digital recorder, or, use your smartphone or a video camera and at least record what you're hearing. So then later you can go back and listen to it and see, because sometimes it is hard to hear the responses during the time you're actually okay, because, it is noisy to some degree still, but that has been reduced down a little bit now with different types of ghost boxes that I'm using. But again, record your ghost box sessions. I always recommend that to anybody doing that, especially new people trying out the ghost box.
I've got one of those Huff portals, and I just got tired of carrying it around. And then
Yeah.
when everything went south with him in the community, it was like, well,
Yeah. Well, yeah, I have my
and
thoughts.
that's unfortunate. We don't have to bring that part up,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's when we talk, and I have grown immensely liking you and what the work you do and
Mhm.
watching what you do, and it's like, man alive, if I could just jump in my car and drive 45 minutes and meet you, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I would go and check out some locations and
Well, I would love, and my daughter still is going to be living there.
yeah.
And the last time I tried to just go down to Bremerton, because there was a lady there that was part of a group that I knew,
Yeah.
and I was going to just see her and have lunch.
Yeah.
And that was what, 40 minutes away. And I just got a world of, and I said, no, it ain't worth it.
Yeah.
But, I have to make my own time. I have to start to go ahead and do a lot of this stuff that I used to do with a lot of groups. And, the Texas Wraith Hunters is a great group.
Yeah.
They have a great center section of people that are well tuned as far as everything
Well,
that
they're very
we do.
versed in what they do, and
Yes.
they convey it on media through their videos and so on. And I mean, Jay, he has great regards for these guys, as well as Maynard as well, Austin Maynard. So these are people that really put a lot of effort into using different types of equipment, and especially the ghost box and that. And the thing is, when I've made videos in the past, I've never edited the living daylights out of them like a lot of people do. It's all straight in the raw, basically.
Oh, that's the way it should be.
Yeah. So there's no going back and doing alterations or anything like that. That's where people get suspicious that, oh, you might be adding something to your work. So I've never done that. So I've always kept it very much upfront what I do and so on.
My partner for 2 of the shows that we do a week, and I do 4 shows. 2 of those shows are done with a guy by the name of Reggie Randall.
Mm-hmm.
And Reggie is a starseed.
Yeah.
And Reggie, he's the real deal.
Yeah.
And he can call them. Like if you go into a cemetery, if you can go to Led to the Light Productions and just check out his videos that he did with me at the cemetery, and he did 2 other ones without me, but it's absolutely amazing, the responses. And he actually has everything from different voices, the father, the daughter, the mother, and then the little one. And then the one daughter she played the piano.
Yeah.
So this actually comes through in what we captured, or what he captured.
Mm-hmm.
And it was mind-boggling, because it's like, this is crazy stuff, but he is right on the money. And he's been like that.
Again, one of those really in tune people that really have that connection to the radio, the ghost box. And then, it comes through the videos or whatever that he does. And that's the important thing, is having people like that out there. I mean, I know some people that picked up the ghost box and tried it, and it didn't work at all for them. They hardly got anything through. And so, but then other people, it worked very well for them. So it depends on you, and it's hard to explain exactly what's happening there, but I think
you complete the circuit.
It's all part of that ITC. I mean, if you hold that device, you really complete that circuit where you're, connection to the device, in other words. So
I just have a blast, and I know that, these are the enjoyable shows for me, when I have somebody, of your statute that can come on here and just converse with me about things that you do, because that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Oh yeah,
and,
I enjoy it. I mean, I haven't really done a lot of talk radio in the last year and a half, 2 years, but you're one of the few that I've gone on to the shows, and then basically occasionally I've been on some other shows and that, and then back, I guess it was around near the end of September, Derek said, why don't you come on to my show and do your ghost box thing? Because I'd done it a few times in the past with him a few years before that, and it worked very well. So I considered it. And then next, I was over at his place and we're doing it. And I like how he does it with the people they call in. He has that number specially that they can contact. And so you get that direct communication with the individual that says, oh, can you get a hold of my grandmother, or whatever. I don't know what their voice sounds like, but of course they do. And then when their voice starts coming through and information, the intelligent response, they're amazed by it. And so that's the nice thing that, it gives them, a little comfort even after they've passed away for quite a few years.
It gives them some closure.
Yeah, exactly. And, I've met some people that had some really bad issues with depression and that after losing loved ones and so on, and, grief stricken and stuff. And I think, too, that sometimes can be a really a good connection for me to work with them. And a lot of times they'll communicate with me with the ghost box, and next their loved ones are coming through, and or maybe friends or whatever that they're being close to and that. So they're just amazed by what comes through and their voices and that. So yeah, they say, yeah, that's their voice for sure.
Do you know Greg Bakken
I've heard of the name. I don't know him personally.
from up in Minnesota? He was like Minnesota Ghost Box.
Yeah.
And he would do a show on Sunday nights, and I would never want to miss it because that's what he would do for the whole show.
Yeah.
As contact. And then he would, if
Yeah.
there was somebody that had a question, or there's somebody that had a loved one,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
he would go through it.
Well,
I even heard my dad on there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And-
again, that's someone else that's exceptionally good with the ghost box. And yeah, there's quite a few out there that are really genuine, that do what they do. And, you can tell that it's for real. As somebody that's just, tuning in, and they know that show, right? And then they realize, yeah, this is pretty amazing. And of
Yes.
course, if they're getting the responses of the people that they're helping, and, they're commenting, oh yeah, well, definitely that was my grandfather. How was he to know that that's his grandfather or whatever? I don't know when they ask me what the voice sounds like. So it helps when they say, yeah, well, that's the voice, and so on.
What do you have planned for this year?
Well, I'm actually trying to, I'm in the process of doing a meetup with a little paranormal group in my area. So we're going to be meeting soon for coffee and that. So I think that'll be really good that we can do that. And because the meetups out here have kind of come and gone, and I thought it would be nice to see the meetups again. So, and we seem to get a really good relation there. So
And then
that is something, and I actually have some locations that would be really good for them to go to, and then would only keep a very small amount of people. The more people, sometimes it's harder for things, to be in an orderly fashion, because then people get bored and they go into different directions, kind of thing. So if you have the group a bit more smaller, I think it works well. And there's some locations I know that the energy is really strong, so it's not for the faint of heart in some cases. So that's the important thing, if they realize that. So if you realize you're in a place that the energy is really strong, and all of a sudden you start to experience some pretty, even if you're there and you're not a paranormal investigator, that personal experience is gold, far as I'm concerned, because you're trying to explain what happened, and I'm saying, well, you must have seen a ghost. I mean, it's it's easy to say you've seen a ghost, but I mean, sometimes they've actually, can't explain why they're being touched, or they get that cobweb feeling over their face and body when there's no spider webs nearby, or these different kinds of feelings and stuff during where you're encountering spiritual energy.
Before we end, I just want to take a few minutes just to mention everybody that stopped by tonight. We got Danny Botts, Linda Kruger, Kim Berensky, Tracy Rizzo, Nancy Noonan Kelly, of course, Nancy, and we've got Lorenzo Chavez and Bonnie I'm going to kill her name. Nanodad.
Nanodad.
We have Irene Akiko. She's from Japan.
Yeah.
And that's it. So
Well, that's nice.
thank you
That's
everybody
good.
for
Yeah.
being here. It was awesome having you here, Bill.
Well, thank you for having me on your radio show tonight, and yeah, I look forward to coming back on again, and
we
yeah,
will.
we'll do this again and talk about some interesting things and so on.
I appreciate it. Thank you very
Yeah.
much for being here. If you want to hang for a minute, I'll just say goodnight to or end the stream, and then we'll get on with it.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll say goodbye to your audience as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.